Do most Americans know what the Federal Reserve is and does? Do they know that out of every dollar created out of thin air, 40 cents is debt? Debt with interest of which every American must pay back. Do Americans know what a fractional reserve system is and that American banks operate under just such a system? Do Americans know that a fractional reserve system allows banks to lend out 10 times the amount of money they control? It would be like you having $1 in your pocket, but you get to loan that $1 out 10 times. So instead of getting $1 back, you get $10 back. Who cares if some of the people you loaned $1 to don't pay you back? Even if as many as 8 people don't pay you back, the 2 who do pay you back have doubled your money. And if there was interest due on each of those loans, you've more than doubled your money. That is what banks do. That is part of the reason why banks made such risky subprime and ninja. No income, no job loans before the Great Recession. So it's corrupt, but it's legal. It's what Chris Osman called immoral legality in his Regaining American Democracy, or RAD dictionary. It's basically any law that makes something legal that shouldn't be legal. Now, getting back to this impromptu and virtually non-existent survey, do Americans realize that the United States dollar has lost 99% of its value in the past 100 years, right around the time that the Federal Reserve System of banks was created? Do Americans understand that economic booms and busts help make the rich richer? Only the rich, not the rest of us. Do Americans realize that American capitalism truly exists in the free market when the risky bets of big business pay off, not when those risky bets fail? When they fail, American capitalism becomes American socialism, as taxpayers are forced to bail out businesses like banks too big to fail. Now, I'm sure most who were adults during the Great Recession will remember the bailouts, which were taxpayer-funded rescue plans that saved the banks. But do Americans realize that at the same time that Obama chose to bail out the banks, he chose not to bail out the over 5 million homeowners? Yeah, maybe some of the homeowners took out loans greater than they could pay back, but I cannot imagine that all 5 million of those loans were made in bad faith, as Obama implied, as the economy was collapsing, and besides that, the banks made those loans. Should the banks have been held accountable for their part in the economic collapse? The banks acted worse than loan sharks in this instance. I mean, if a loan shark would loan you the money, then break your legs immediately, how would they get their money back? The banks, however, made all of these bad loans, then crashed the economy, causing many to lose their ability to pay back the loan. It's as if they broke 5 million people's legs just after loaning them money. Maybe that's why it feels like the banks are robbing us these days. In conclusion, do most Americans realize just how unfair capitalism is to the majority of them? Do they realize that their ever-shrinking price of the pie is due to an economic system that is always rigged against them? Do they understand that it would take something like a popular YouTube channel or Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies for them to not only thrive, but to survive? More than 80% of all stocks are owned by less than 12% of the population. How many houses can most people buy today? Banks barely pay interest on your deposits. As I tell all young people these days, invest your money in something that will not only keep pace, but exceed the rate of inflation. Because if you don't, inflation will deplete the value of every dollar you keep in the bank. Remember, the dollar has lost 99% in the past 100 years. Let's just say you only have 50 years more on Earth, however. That still means your money will be worth half of what it's worth today. You'd better start rationing now. There are plenty of people reporting and complaining about our leaders and their failures. How many, however, are offering or even pointing to any solutions? The book Solutions. Enough complaining, Let's Fix America by Chris Osman does and can be found on Amazon or at www.mikesonsentertainment.com. To find out other ways you're being screwed by your current leaders, check out the posts on this blog daily. Learn about the biggest and worst issues that America and its people face today. You can also check into this blog daily to hear about those issues that America and its people will face in the near and distant future. If, however, you would like to discover possible solutions to either mitigate the worst impacts of these issues or solutions to avoid them altogether, keep listening. The problems we face are not as complicated as so many leaders and news reports claim. They are man-made and are only claimed as complicated so those who are responsible can maintain control. For example, there is a persistent argument that moving government is like turning a cruise ship around. It is supposedly a long process that can only be achieved incrementally. While this may be true for laws and policies that benefit the majority of Americans, it does not seem to be so for that smallest of American minorities. When one examines the policies and laws that benefit that minority, known as the elite or the rich, the speed at which those laws are passed is exponentially faster. While most of us sit on the deck chairs waiting for the Titanic to avoid the myriad of icebergs of which we seem to continually run afoul, the elite ride comfortably in speedboats. If, according to the Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal, why do the rich live quite different lives than the rest of us? Where is our speedboat? In 2018, Chris Osman wrote a book highlighting the problems humanity would face if more power, wealth, and control were funneled to a small group of individuals, groups, or organizations. In that book, Mr. Osman provides solutions, offered up from himself and others, to the inevitable problems we would all face. In it, he also provided a means for the public to analyze, compare, and contrast the words and deeds of those we've chosen to follow against our real-world experiences. To this end, Mr. Osman provides the means for readers to disseminate information, as provided by their news sources of choice, their elected officials, and any other authority they choose to follow. The book, titled Solutions, Enough Complaining. Let's Fix America offers a means to hold leaders up, not just to a higher standard than is currently accepted, but to one that will improve lives. Ignorant is just how they like us. Click the link below and get your copy of Solutions today.